Hey, this is Brendan Allen from ComicCon.com. This is Happy Hour. What are we on? Number 9, 10? Somewhere in there. We're in almost in double digits if we're not there yet. Joining me today is Cullen Bunn, as always, and Anton Kromoff. Oh, it's number 10. Producer in chief has let me know we're on number 10. Today we're going to be talking about Mothman, and this is one that I'm actually not super familiar with. It's one of those backwoods monsters that you guys seem to know a whole hell of a lot about. Anton came up with this episode, so Anton, tell us about the Mothman, bro.
I've always really liked the Mothman. He's one of those really interesting cryptids that, to me, feels like he kind of adapts to whatever the modern climate is. With Mothman, he's either, he was an alien, or he's a demon, or he's a mutant. He kind of runs the gamut and sort of fits into any of the whatever your flavor is. Whatever thing you like. Always sort of an ill omen, heralding some sort of destruction or some sort of great calamitous event. There's always like a mass sighting of Mothman, and that to me has always been kind of cool because it's like this sort of this harbinger. Fun fact: there's not a single eyewitness account, because there's people who've seen the Mothman, but there's not a single eyewitness account of the Mothman where the Mothman has attacked humans. So is he benevolent? He clearly is not like an antagonistic entity because he's not like swooping down and snatching up babies or whatever. So there's a lot going on with the Mothman that's super interesting, and I think people sleep on him. But he's pretty rad.
Well, I mean, I got to be honest. I've heard of it because like that movie, The Mothman Prophecies or whatever, but I didn't even see that film, so I don't know. It's just one of those things that's just flown under the radar. And you went off on a whole rant on the Mothman Prophecies before we started recording. So why don't you go ahead and tell us how you really feel, Anton?
Cullen, you had something? What do you got?
Well, I'm just going to say, and not to revoke my my monster card, I guess. The Mothman is probably holds the number one position for me as my least favorite cryptid, folklore, legend creature. I don't care about the Mothman, and I really do not know why. I don't know what it is about the Mothman that just doesn't ring my bell, but he does not. I mean, there's an interesting story to him because the Mothman's first recorded appearances were in the 1960s in Point Pleasant somewhere. I don't know.
Virginia.
If you watch, where is it?
Point Pleasant, Virginia.
Point Pleasant, Virginia. And I thought it was West Virginia, maybe.
It is West Virginia.
Might be West Virginia. It is West Virginia.
It is like a West Virginia kind of thing.
Yeah, you're right. It is West.
And he, people, I saw a creature, large white creature with wings, and it was a bird, for God's sake. I know in my heart of hearts, Mothman was a bird.
When we were in Kansas City, and I said the Kansas City floating lights or whatever were right next to a highway, and people were drunk and all that stuff. You were like, no, you got to believe. And here you are saying, no, it's just a pedestrian bird that people saw. That
how much belief do I have to have? I can believe in a certain number of things, but at some point, it's just too much. I got to just cut it. I got to cut it off. I can only believe in so many monsters and creatures. How many monsters am I supposed to care about these days?
You know what? I just got the idea too, with you saying that this is your least favorite, and as you were talking there, that we should do a bracket and put our cryptids on there, and then have a whole episode where we're just drinking and cutting down the bracket. Who would win between Mothman and Gillman?
That's a great idea. I mean, I like that idea. I mean, we'd never get through the episode, but it's a cool concept.
It's an easy 16-parter.
Right. Yeah. We can workshop that. We'll sand down the edges a little bit. Mothman, to me, I think the reason he resonates, Cullen has seen the wonder that washes over me when I go to a roadside attraction or world's biggest ball of tinfoil or a Bigfoot tour or what an alligator ranch. I live for those weird truck stop touristy spots. Those things just fill me with joy. I'm an excitable creature. They're delightful. They make me happy. I just love them. So and the Mothman very much feels like that sort of all the cryptids. He feels like he was made to entice you to just pull off the side of the road and spend your $8 to see his footprints in somebody's they were pouring a pool and the Mothman landed here and left his footprints, and now you can buy like a $22 t-shirt from Ethel, who's selling them, you know, out of the back of her. Yeah, that's the kind of thing the Mothman feels like to me. And they have a whole festival where like people come from all over the world. And they're like,
dude, you're jumping up in the show notes now. We're going to talk about the Mothman Festival.
I'm with you on these roadside attractions. Look, if I'm driving down the highway, I'm going somewhere, and there's a Bigfoot roadside attraction, gonna stop. The 9-foot mystery mummy, gonna stop. The Ozark Howler, gonna stop. If I see a sign for the Mothman roadside attraction, that roadside attraction better have the world's cleanest restrooms. Otherwise, I'm not stopping. And I'm talking this.
So what you saying?
Buc-ee's or Wally's quality restroom and beef jerky. Or I
was just about to say, if it was between the beef jerky stand on the left and Mothman on the right, which way you turn it?
There's not a doubt in the world which way I'd turn.
Wally's does have real nice bathrooms, though. I mean, there's no argument there. But you know, it would have like 18 types of fudge and like 40 different beer koozies with like, I saw the Mothman footprint. I mean,
I hope they have pillows and a blanket, because I'm going to need a nap for that snooze fest.
We've said some things here, right, that would make you pull off into a roadside attraction. It's got to be an interesting monster, or a clean restroom, or the world's biggest selection of jerky. Also, they have to have tie-dyed towels and blankets and golf caddies, right?
Well, I think the blankets and towels are so he could take a nap. That's He's so bored.
Nice. All right, let's do a drink. Let's do a drink. So you got three drinks here. Which one are we starting with, Anton?
Oh, I made these things and I need to look at my list. Let's look at the stars align, right? So this one is bourbon, orange cello, club soda, and then you take a slice of orange and a slice of lemon and you stick them together so they make a cool little disky shape like a star.
I think the mason jar helps with the backwoods kind of lore that you got going with the Mothman.
You people think I have regular glasses in this house? I have like mason jar. We bought glasses. We went and bought glasses from the the Goodwill. We went to the Goodwill to pick up glasses because I drink out of blender bottles and like that's what we use at the house. And my beautiful, lovely, brilliant wife dropped the bag with the glasses in it, and they broke. Like, she spent like $4 to get like 3 glasses, and they broke when she was trying to bring up the steps. So this is what you get. I wish I had a Collins glass, but it's still delicious.
You 100% could have just sold that off and said, "I'm just that bougie."
Right.
Like that's how fancy of a bartender I am.
That is delicious. My wife.
It is a good one.
They're so good. This is so good.
I have tiny little glasses now. Look at those. Oh. I didn't want to drink a lot today, so I just made I made half portions of everything in these tiny little glasses.
You know, when they're squat like that, but with a wider lip, it's the same volume.
I promise you, this is not the same volume as any other glass in my house. It's the same circumference of a glass. Yeah.
I like it though. It's clean. It's like a crisp, sort of summery flavor. It's starting to get hot here. This kind of fits right into that sort of vibe. I enjoy it. Like those hot nights.
It's nice.
You're driving down the road, heavily inebriated, and see Mothman, 2 red eyes staring at you with big flappy wings. Sometimes it has a head. Sometimes.
Now what? Hang on. There are descriptions of this thing. Let's see. From November 15, 1966 to December 15, 1967, there was a string of sightings. The first newspaper report was published in the Point Pleasant Register, dated November 16, 1966, and the title was "Couple See Man-Sized Bird ... creature ... something ? National press soon picked up the reports and helped spread the story across the United States. The source of the legend is believed to have originated from sightings of out-of-migration sandhill cranes or herons. So that fits right in with what Cullen was saying earlier.
And those herons are huge. Can get huge.
Yeah, they are. I don't
they
think
have red markings on their faces as well. But I'm telling you, go ahead.
Well, that's something that happens, though, too, is like when it says it's an out-of-season migration, so people aren't used to seeing it, and they get startled by this thing. And then when they raise up, I don't see if you've seen herons when they get threatened or whatever, but they've got a wingspan that is, it's really impressive. It's 6 or 8 feet.
Oh, yeah. I live on the coast. We see herons all the time. Dismal Swamps here, Appalachia's there. Like, we're I'm in the country for this kind of creature. Like, it's a thing, which is why I fully believe it was a giant cryptid monster of shimmery skin and glowing red eyes with sort of an owl face and prehensile claws on the ends of his wings, harbinging doom and destruction. Like, just not a bird. It's a Mothman. It's got to be a Mothman.
No.
There's
I
plenty
had
of
a fancy
statues of birds, right? They built a statue to the Mothman. Tells you something.
Yeah. So I was looking for some movies because I didn't know the Mothman. I found a few on free streaming and one on money for Amazon. The Mothman Prophecy is money for Amazon. You said that movie sucks.
That movie is. I watched it at some point when. See, Anton's old, so back in the day when man hunted mammoth with pointy stick across frozen tundra, there were these channels. They were premium channels, and they came on the regular TV. You couldn't stream or anything like that, children. And what would happen was you get a free weekend, and on the free weekend, you get access to these mystical channels full of like movies and fun stuff that wasn't on your basic, like, 8 to 10 channels with USA was cool, but the rest of it, anyways, I digress. Well, you get these free channels and there's movies on them and they're awesome. And then Mothman Prophecy was on there and I watched that and it was delightful. And I think I rented a VHS of it at one point. I remember really enjoying it. I was like, man, this movie's great. I tried to watch that movie since we started talking about this, like in the last week or so. I don't understand. I looked at my wife and I said, I don't understand why this Richard Gere individual, how he has a career as an actor. I don't. And my wife looked me in the face, in the eye, and my wife said to me, she said, honey, it's because he's conventionally attractive. And I said, yeah, but he's not doing anything. And she said, no, that's enough. And I was like, oh.
I like that Richard Gere
I think it's Gear.
Both did not exist and ceased to exist within the confines of Mothman Prophecy for you.
That's it.
He did have a before.
I don't know that I know him from another movie.
Waterworld.
Waterworld. Yes.
He was not in Waterworld.
Dances with Wolves.
You are an
That's
idiot.
Kevin Costner.
Both of those are Kevin Costner.
Is there a difference?
There's a vast
difference. Mr. Kevin Costner is a fantastic actor. I like that man.
Difference between
they have the same delivery. They have the same. Oh, he was in Dr. T and the Women. You remember that one?
Are you talking about A-Team with Mr. T? Also
yes.
not.
He was in the A-Team. He was with the cigar. That guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember the movie. I know I watched it when it came out, and I don't remember it. And I don't know if I've stressed this enough, but there was nothing that was going to get me to go watch a Mothman.
Okay, I might change your minds. I probably won't, but I'm gonna put it out there. What I did discover in this, like, I'm very excited. I'm gonna watch some Mothman stuff. There's a PBS series with this doctor lady who's real cool, and she talks about different like cryptozoological creatures. And she has an episode on the Mothman, and I ended up watching that, and it was free. It was on Prime. I watched that, or no, it was on YouTube. I watched it, and it was awesome. And then she had one on werewolves. I watched that as well, and I was like, man, I love PBS. And now I'm gonna go to Amazon and get the PBS channel. And now I've been watching Antiques Roadshow, which has also been great. But like that
wow, that did convince me to love Mothman, Anton. I don't know. Wow, I'm in it now. I get it. Have you been on the debate team, Anton? I don't know, because that, sir, was absolutely startling in its quality, its focus, the drive. Wow. I
didn't get off point at one. There was no part there where I got off topic. I brought to you by people like me, right? That's what we do.
What the hell is that?
Richard Gere was in Officer and a Gentleman, Pretty Woman, Summersby. I remember Summersby. That's the one with the Civil War guy that came back, but it wasn't him, but he had a different size foot or whatever. Pretty Woman. He was in Pretty Woman.
Like a bird foot?
Yeah, I think an Officer and a Gentleman was kind of his breakout role, and then he did Pretty Woman, which kind of catapulted him into superstardom, and then he did Mothman Prophecy, and Anton feels that he no longer should work. Okay.
Mothman Prophecy is not even listed on this list of his films. He doesn't even like it.
Maybe the guy who came back from Summersby is played in Mothman Prophecy. He just has one large foot.
Nice. Yeah. All right, so those films I found for free streaming, there's like 16 just called Mothman. So there's Mothman 2010 on Roku, Mothman 2022 on Tubi, Mothman Point Pleasant on Prime, which is the documentary that I watched. And actually, the documentary, the beginning of it, I was like, what in the hell does this even have to do with Mothman? Because it starts out with your guys' like Bigfoot story, where like basically there's these drug dealers and there's this thing happening and all these moonshiners in the backwoods and things, and they saw a thing that scared the bejesus out of them, and that like started the legend. But it really reminded me of you guys being in the warehouse, but like, oh no, we must hide out here from the drug dealers, that kind of thing.
It's Bandolier. I would go on a Mothman tour. They actually have a Mothman tour. You take a bus and it takes you all over Point Pleasant, but it also takes you like other historical spots. They apparently have like a giant mural of some Confederate fight that was there. They've got.
I
Like,
thought you were about to say giant
like
mirror.
Mural, not mirror.
Like, look at the size of this shiny glass. This is
What
the
are they,
biggest
like,
one on this
like
side of the
parabolic
state.
mirrors melting towns? No, like mural. They have like a fudge factory, and they have some other like random stuff. The bus takes you to all of that.
Does
some
everyone
decomposing,
like
yeah.
on
What?
the East Coast? Does every one of these roadside attractions have fudge? Because
Yeah,
they had that at Uranus.
It's not just the East Coast. It's every roadside attraction.
No,
Yeah, gotta have fudge,
it's
man.
it's beef jerky and tie dye out here. Every stop has beef jerky and tie dye. Like fudge is a new thing for me. I did see that at Uranus when I was out in Missouri, but that's not a West Coast thing.
We got a lot of fudge up and down here. South of the border.
Do you?
Yeah, we
Tell
do.
me about the flavors.
There's pecan fudge. There's peanut butter. There's double chunk chocolate. There's cookies and cream.
Well, it's becoming a thing at conventions too. The last several big conventions I've been to have had not just one but multiple like fudge vendors, and they sell fudge throughout the day. I think Planet Comic-Con this year had 4 or 5. I think it was the same fudge dealer, but they had 4 or 5 locations throughout the place, and then they had it at Texas Frightmare Weekend had a fudge dealer. It's becoming a convention thing.
I wanted to go to Texas Frightmare. How did that go? You went with Mr. Macabre, right?
Mr. Macabre was not there. No, he could not go this time. I just went to a convention as a fan because I wanted to see what it was like. First convention I've been to in 25 years as a fan, or as not working, and it was a lot of fun. It was great. I'll probably continue to do it. It's those kind of horror conventions are very different vibes from the comic conventions or the pop culture conventions that were most people are probably used to. A horror convention's a very, very different vibe. And I did see someone dressed as the Mothman there. So
now, what is the Mothman costume? Because there's so many different versions of what this thing looks like. The basic thing that they get is the outline of the giant wings, and then they've got the glowing eyes, but then everything else is pretty much in darkness. It's shrouded every time you see or hear a description of them. They're like, well, we saw these giant leathery wings and pretty much nothing else but the glowing eyes.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what the costumes look like. They're just sort of dark, big red eyes glowing, and I can't remember if the wings of the one I saw in Texas Frightmare had a moth pattern or not. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, and that's interesting too, because like when you think of crane's wings, they come, kind of like angled out, and then they have the thing at the bottom, and bat wings have the big point at the top. Like, why is it called the Mothman if everybody describes it like a wing, like a bird wing?
So I looked into that. It is because Batman was popular at the time, and Batman had a villain called Killer Moth, and Killer Moth and Batman are apparently. Who knows if this is true, but they are credited with the origin of the Mothman name.
That is bonkers. I never in a million years would have been like, oh yeah, comics did that.
Well, I know Batman had his TV show at the time, but Killer Moth was never in that show. So who knows? But there have been several articles I saw that said that's where the name came from.
You know what? And the thing is, too, is you give me a hard time all the time for all the time that I'm like checking stuff on the internet while we're doing these. And you did this at Planet too, but like you actually did a deeper dive than I did. So, yeah, I think that makes you the bigger nerd.
Nope, bet it doesn't.
All right, Anton. The next one you've got is, let's see, that was Stars Aligned. You have the Mothman and you have BACKHILLS Sour. I wasn't able to make the BACKHILLS Sour, but do you want to do the Mothman?
Here's the Mothman. It is not a cool drink. See, I didn't do the Luxardo because I wanted the two red glowing eyes to be peering out at you.
That was smart. Yeah, I did Marasca cherries, but they did sink and they're not glowing red. So I get why you would have done just a red one.
That makes sense. So this one's vodka, coffee liqueur, and then the cherries, and it's just served on rocks, and it is delicious if you like the coffee flavor, which I do.
It is not to be confused with a Black Russian, which does not have cherries in it.
What's the difference?
Oh, Jiminy Christmas.
Very different drink. It's totally different drink.
This is named appropriately. This is the Mothman of beverages. I'll tell you that.
I had to add creamer to the one because I make two sets. I make one for my wife, and I make one for the show. And the set that I made my wife, I had to pour the creamer in to make her a White Russian because it was just too much vodka as a Black Russian.
I can tell how much Cullen loves it.
I gotta fish the cherries out of this because otherwise it is a big old mess. I'm gonna fish the eyeballs of the Mothman out the way Godzilla fishes Hedorah's power orbs out of his smoggy flesh.
I mean, that does work. Makes me
and that, Brendan, makes me a bigger geek.
Very true.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, the Mothman's also seen like this really cool pop culture sort of embracement. You see a lot of fan art of different variations of the Mothman. You see a lot of different people kind of doing their takes on him, making him their own character. It's just a cryptid that I think is vague enough because we don't know all of the specific features. It's just this disembodied void with wings and these glowing eyes. So we see a lot of really cool artists kind of taking their take on the character, and it comes out with some like really unique looking creatures. Which, if you have something that's more nailed down, like your Gillman or your werewolf, you're gonna kind of get the same silhouette, the same kind of interpretation of personality and character. The Mothman is a little bit more. It can be kind of something for everyone. You don't know what it is, and I like that about it.
Well, I think that's a very dated kind of look at creatures that we don't really have anymore. Because before, when they talked about vampires, right, you had Nosferatu who had the teeth in the middle, and then you had Dracula who had the teeth on the outside. Like, they had very different ideas of what a vampire would look like. And we're kind of getting around again to, I think, another era where you can kind of interpret monsters a little bit differently than what they've been traditionally like cast as. But that's a really good point, that like it's so vague that it's like it's the shape that's scary. Why is it scary? Well, because it's got this backstory or this backstory. Because the backstory is not real clear, you get a lot of license.
It's one of my favorite things about like weird horror, like weird fiction, is the unknowable creature, right? The monster that you're not sure what exactly it is. The Haunter in the Dark, you have some idea of like, here's sort of a rough idea of what the creature looks like, but you fill in the blanks. And with the Mothman, I think, even its origin, is it like I was saying earlier, is it a demon? Is it an alien? Was it caused by mutation because there was like an ammo dump there, so they were making bombs and TNT and stuff? Like, did that get into the groundwater and create something? Did it wake something up from deep below the earth? Like, I've always thought that like a legend survives when it's able to adapt to sort of the current cultural moment, right? So like a folklore and monsterology and creatures, all of that continues to exist when it's able to be current. And with something like the Mothman, which can be kind of vague and unknown, you can plug and play so much about it. But you say Mothman and people are like, oh, the glowing red eyes and the shape and the wings, and like that becomes the creature. But it can be it can fit into any story. It can be helpful. You know, it could be like a Ninja Turtle coming in and saving people. It can be like, you know, a daunting entity that like, you know, swoops down and rips off the top of a car and like eats some teenagers. It can be all sorts of different stuff. And I think because of that, the Mothman will have longevity, where some creatures that are more, you know, spur of the moment kind of stuff, like you know, you see your creepypastas and some of the like short videos that were on Vine that are sort of on TikTok. Like some of those monsters will never experience like the longevity in the folklore and the urban legend and the legend kind of conversation, because they don't adapt. Like there's nothing for them to adapt to the current climate. Like the story is never gonna, you know, you have to be 2005 in a dorm room for this entity to do pencils on top of each other. Like it has to exist in that space, because the creature can't be part of a new narrative. Like nobody can really talk about it moving forward. So I think that that about the Mothman to me really appeals to me. It's like one of the coolest things about the mythos, the character.
Well, I think some of the greatest horror too comes from situations that are 5 degrees to the left of reality. So when you sit there and you go, it's this shape or whatever, you can identify with, yeah, I've seen winged things in the dark or whatever. That shit is scary. Like, you know, if you get too niche with the details, you're right. That's a good point.
I mean, you could see Mothman fighting like Conan. You see Mothman like going up against some dudes in World War II, or warning them that some, you know, bridge was going to explode or something. You could see Mothman like hanging out on the top of a, you know, skyscraper in the 80s. You could see Mothman running around now.
Yeah, I mean, really, let's be honest. Every heron season, you could see Mothman.
Go out and take pictures. Yes.
Yeah.
Sell them to tabloids.
Migration period of Mothman. It works.
Mm-hmm.
Mothman's natural diet: small fish and insects around the.
I hear he's doing a vegan thing now, so you know, but that might change. He was on keto for a second, but that shifted up. So
That's Mediterranean now. He used to be keto, now he's on the Mediterranean. Yeah.
do you want to talk about the third drink?
Oh well, I mean, did you guys see this this glass
That's so
that I
cool.
custom made here? Can you see that?
Pretty cool. How'd you make that?
Well, it's really just a cheap piece. This is the prototype. It's a cheap piece of paper just pasted to the side, but it looks like a milk carton, but it's really booze. So,
that's neat.
and it says happy hour, comics and cocktails, and some other nerdy shit that makes us happy. So I think that's the new log line for our show.
I like that.
We could sell that for $40 on the website, right?
Oh, probably.
Your guys' enthusiasm today is killing me. It's great. Like I woke both of you guys up from a nap or something like that. Like, let's see. Okay, yeah.
Shit that makes me happy. It's you guys. You guys are the nerdy shit that makes me happy. So.
Oh, you're gonna make me blush. Okay, so the third drink here I could not make. It's called the BACKHILLS Sour. You've got amaretto and lemon moonshine and simple syrup and some bitters in this one. And for the life of me, in the entire city of Bakersfield, I could not find a lemon moonshine. And I had a shop owner even try to convince me that they don't make it. And I was like, no, sir. I pulled it up on my phone. I was like, look, they make lemon drop. There's like 2 or 3 lemon flavors. You have none. He's like, no, we carry all the flavors. I was like, you do not.
This is the best one of the 3.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite of the 3 for sure. It's got a nice rounded taste to it. It's very clean. Like, it's just good.
Amaretto, that's the almond stuff, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Amaretto is not really almond flavor. Amaretto's is it? I mean, it's super sweet, super like a lot of people drink it straight, you know, just over ice. I think it's too sweet to drink over ice, but it's like a caramely flavor.
So it's made of apricot.
It's either apricot kernels, almonds, or peach stones.
Yeah.
So I guess if you get the right brand, it doesn't have almond in it, but they're using almond-like nuts in all of them.
Yeah, I guess so. I've never considered it an almond flavor. This tastes a lot like a amaretto sour to me. I mean, I put a lot of bitters in mine, but
what'd you use?
I used orange bitters,
nice.
Fettermans or whatever they're called. Yeah, you suggested orange bitters, so that's what I used.
I appreciate you. I think it works the best. Like, I mean, you could go with something a little bit more floral, but I like the nose of it kind of gets a little weird. I think the orange just rounds it all out, and really makes it a good flavor.
Yeah, if you like amaretto sours, this is the drink for you.
Over here, I've just got my my straight bourbon neat, and I'm happy with it. I couldn't find a theme to fit that in, but lemon moonshine is not available east of the Rocky or west of the Rockies, apparently.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, you don't have to make the drink specifically. You know, we'll put the recipes up for you guys to try. But I mean, have fun with it. Drink what you want. Don't drink something because you don't want to enjoy it.
I will tell you though, this is my first time trying this Garrison Brothers boot flask bourbon whiskey that came with my last Flaviar box, and that stuff is delicious. I have not been a big fan of bourbon since I started hanging out with you guys. So instead of Scotch, I've been trying these different bourbons. I've got what is that? Contradiction bourbon. I've got Bishop Risky. Why Risky? I've got Bishop Y Risky, and this is Kentucky Hand Barrel. This is a really nice bottle.
Cool bottle.
It's a nice bottle.
Yeah. But I did not mix up that other drink, so I'm trying to divert attention away from that fact. Cool. All right, so let's see. We talked about the movies, yeah, and the thing is the dynamite. That's what the most shocking thing for me about learning about Mothman is in that documentary, The Mothman Legacy on Prime. They talked about there's like this TNT plant, and so they're talking about how something could have evolved from the leaching of chemicals into the groundwater and things like that. And it's it's a cool story. It's about as cool as a radioactive spider, because when you think about the chemicals and things that they use to make dynamite, like we don't have any stories, as you mentioned, of Mothman attacking somebody. But if Mothman did attack somebody, what kind of powers would he have after eating all that dynamite residue?
Oh man, like it'd kind of be like a butterfly thing where like the Mothman's wings flutter, and then like somewhere across town something explodes.
I was thinking more like the bombardier beetle's ass, where it has those spinnerets that shoot two chemicals, and then it makes an explosion while it runs away.
That could work as well. I went a little bit more existential than butt play, but I mean, hey, whatever works for you, man.
Or those, what are the shrimp that punch shit and make an explosion underwater?
Oh yeah, the knockout shrimp. They do a little crab claw thing, and it shoots the little sonic burst. What I think is crazy about all that TNT stuff, right, is so if Mothman wasn't real, if we were going to follow Cullen's line of logic, right, the Mothman is not in existence. It's a bird, which I firmly don't believe. I am team Mothman is real. All of those chemicals could maybe possibly have gotten into the groundwater or irrigation systems, or just been in the air, and an entire town of people who were seeing a glowing red-eyed shambling shape that flies around could just be hallucinating based on the who knows what chemicals that were used to create all of these munitions. Now, while that is a very logical explanation of why one could, in the middle of the night with heavy drinking and lights involved, see a giant herring as a cryptid creature, that could be a logical explanation. Sure. But what's the world without a little wonder? A giant moth monster. Maybe it's got a face of an owl. Maybe it's here to warn us about something. Maybe it's a space alien. Could be a space alien. Right? Come down to observe.
that was a thing, right? What was it? It was so maybe this is from the Mothman Prophecy, but like people get like visions of the Mothman or whatever right before something terrible happens. I don't know. It's hard to follow.
Oh yeah,
well, that's the whole. That's sort of his gimmick is the Mothman shows up as a precursor to some disaster.
So it's his smelling burnt toast before he has a cardiac episode.
He's trying to warn us, Brennan. He's trying to warn us that something bad is coming. The Mothman shows up.
It's shocking to me then. It's shocking to me if the Mothman's whole thing is, I'm going to show up before something bad happens in the world. That jackass should be everywhere every day. Seeing him all the damn time. He should be over my shoulder right now, Mothmaning it up, and he's not.
Well, what if the Mothman is only working on the ley lines that intersect in that particular region of the world.
It can't be a fixed point. He
And
can't
there are
change a
other
fixed point. It has to be something you can actually take an actual offense or
he can only show up. He can only show up when something bad happens in certain areas.
right.
He's
And
the
there are
doctor.
other further.
He's got a TARDIS.
That changes things for me. How come he's not showing up all the damn time? Because something bad is happening everywhere, every day.
Well, yeah, I mean, how do you know he's not?
Or maybe he just doesn't give a damn about us.
Or maybe he just doesn't like you because you're so damn grumpy all the time. I don't know.
It's possible. Hey, have we looked into the occurrences of disasters and then correlate those with heron migration? I don't know.
Man, what if Mothman is very much like Tinkerbell? If you don't believe in Mothman,
then he's dead because I don't believe.
But then Mothman dies. Oh, that's rude. So you mentioned the Mothman Festival, and I'm going to plug these guys. They're not sponsors or anything, but this just sounds awesome
Not
to me.
after this episode.
Mothman Festival 2023. It's in September 16th and 17th. It's a festival held every third weekend of September that commemorates the 1966 Point Pleasant, West Virginia Mothman sighting, which gave birth to the infamous red-eyed winged legend. People from all over the world, blah, 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 blah. I can't find the cost of this thing, but the attractions, they have guest speakers, paranormal pros from all over the world who present an array of topics from everything from Mothman, Bigfoot, UFOs, and well, they're stealing our show. They're just not getting drunk doing it. They bring a statue. There's a Mothman statue you can visit, so that fits right in with the roadside stuff. There's live bands, movies, performers. You never know what we have up our sleeve, they say. Ghostbusters are going to be there. There's a TNT bus tour.
They've got line dancing. They've got fudge.
The 501st Legion is going to be there. I love those guys.
Right?
They do a lot of stuff for charity.
We were going to go.
There's a costume.
We're going to New York Comic Con, so that's our trip instead of going to the Mothman Festival.
That's right. We have pitched, just so everybody knows, Cullen is a wet towel on this one, but we have pitched Happy Hour Live at New York Comic Con, so there's a very good chance that Anton and I are going to be on stage in New York in October doing this. So there is, at this convention again there's a Mothman museum where they've got a bunch of models and stuff. There's a Mothman costume contest, so they're doing cosplay. This sounds like a convention that's very much geared towards cryptid heads. And I think this actually, if we could swing it, this would be a really fun one to go to. But I know with our scheduling and everything, that's not really in the cards, is it?
I'm heron. It's a good time.
Dude, I believe you're.
It's a Mothman. It's a man.
This whole website, I'm clicking through this website trying to find out where the tickets are, and there's not a one place. Hey, Mothman Festival guys, you're slipping on this because I can't pre-order tickets.
Dude, I think you just show up. Like I was watching a couple of the documentaries that were talking about it, and I think.
But they have like attractions. There's like guest speakers. There's panels. There's a bus tour.
Yeah, you probably buy those there.
You buy the tickets for the stuff that's there, not the festival.
Right, but I got 4 heads in my family. You got to tell me how much I'm fitting to spend. Like, if it's going to cost me $200, I need to know that.
I bet you it's going to cost you $200.
And then a flight and lodging.
You buy tickets right next to the cotton candy place. You buy tickets, and like the Mothman
Bigfoot
tour. The Mothman's tour is 5 tickets. The heron zoological exhibit is 3 tickets.
No, it's the same exhibit. It's just the lights are on for one and the lights are off, and it's just underlit on the other one. Yeah.
You go out and go back in, and they've got the lights turned off.
I tell you what, I'm going to
glow in the dark paint around their wings and stuff.
I'm going to reach out to the festival, not for this year, for next year, and I will see if they would like to invite us and put us up at their fine festival, and we could do one of these shows.
They'll be like, those 2 other guys are fine, but you leave that bun guy at home.
No way. I'm not doing it without him. I refuse.
Maybe they want to convince me. Maybe they want to convince me that the Mothman is real.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even think it's about convincing. I just think it's one of those things where they have artifacts and they have like the fun. You know, because so I'm from Santa Rosa, California, where
wait, hold on a second, Brendan.
I am from California. Did you know this? But Bob Ripley lived and died in Santa Rosa, California. So they have a Ripley Museum there, and it's in this this tiny little church that's called the Church Built from One Redwood Tree. And you go in there, and they have the trout bearing fur, and it's a fish that's got rabbit fur on it. And the thing is, it's in the wording. It's a trout bearing fur. It didn't say that they grew the fur. It didn't say that they found it like that. It just says that it's wearing fur, and it is. It's a trout wearing fur. Um, so it's one of those things where like I don't feel like they're trying to convince you that Mothman is real. They're just celebrating the story of the Mothman. And
Oh, for that.
if you
So,
come away a believer and now you're in the church of the Mothman, then that's just bonus for them.
Brennan, if we go to the Mothman Festival, like if they invite us out and put us up and we go to the Mothman Festival, my entire journey there and the entire time we are there is going to be trying to convince Cullen that Mothman is real. Put your money on that, friend. That will be my life goal.
You know what? Hey, if the Mothman Festival invites us and can get us there and put us up, I'm for it. I will do back to back. I will do this festival and then I will do New York Comic Con. And you know what? It's not too late for this year. It's September 23rd, right?
Yeah, that's this year's festival.
It's too late.
All right.
Here. It's
dear Mothman people.
I'm gonna tell you right now, it's too late for this year.
We are leading experts in the fields of cryptozoology and mixology. So we have a unique draw for a panel at your huge convention.
My unique draw is called an accent sometimes.
My unique, never mind. Never mind.
Oh my God.
All right, so my name is Brendan Allen. This has been Cullen Bunn and Anton Kromoff talking about the Mothman, or just a giant annoying bird in the swamp marshes.
It's not a bird.
We will see you guys again in October at New York Comic Con. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, mash those buttons. We'll see you next time.
Be easy.